Is heroin something you get addicted to on the first try? Recovering addict here paper. You won't be physically dependent on it after one use. But most people don't just come out the gate trying heroin. They are usually already addicted to pills, and that habit has become too expensive, or for some other reason become unsustainable, and they end up using heroin to maintain. And then they typically go off the rails. That's what happened to me and literally every person I used to use with anyway. Edit. Several people that are still struggling have responded in the comments, and it breaks my heart. I can promise y'all that if fentanyl was as prevalent 10 years ago as it is today, I would be dead. No doubt about it. So you're still here for a reason. You all deserve the best things life has to offer. I promise you that my life now is something I could never have dreamed when I was in the gutter. You deserve that too. We all do. Scissor heart. I'm a recovering addict. 11 years. You're not addicted after the first try. That is a biological and mental process that takes time and continued use. But the first high is what drew me in. I never felt it again after that first time, and I kept searching and searching for it. Plus, after a few weeks of daily use, I was sick as a dog if I didn't use. So there's that. Spontaneous H. This is a famous Reddit user. Read his story. You won't be physically addicted, but it'll make you want to try again. I tried once when I was 19. We free-based it. I loved it, which is why I'll never do it again. Let me say that I don't have an addictive personality. It doesn't run in my family. And I know it was a huge risk. I'm in my 30s now and have no desire to try again. I do not recommend anyone do it, because you really don't know what will happen. I snorted it once, puked instantly, blacked out for 12 hours. 0 tenths. No. I've been clean almost 10 years. It takes a couple weeks. You get mentally addicted first. I recommend you don't go down this path. It will likely be the most painful mental and physical experience of your life if you manage to survive. My ex-boyfriend was addicted for years. He told me once that it took a few times for him to become addicted. But he was already abusing drugs when he tried it the first time. He said by like the fourth use he was fully addicted. And he'd get terribly ill between uses. And kept taking heroin to feel better. He died of a fentanyl overdose. He was only 27. I understand the curiosity, but trust me, you are so much better off not trying it. I've never done drugs, so I'm not speaking from first-hand experience. My mom was a heroin addict though. And she did try it before anything else. Long story. But basically my dad got addicted to it somehow. Never heard his side of the story. And she found out and tried it with him. She got clean after 8 or 9 years, then relapsed another 5 to 6 years later with pills. She eventually went back to heroin, and her addiction eventually killed her. She said that first time she tried it she loved it, and the rest is history. So I don't think you're addicted after one try. But it's possible a person would love that feeling so much that they never look back. All that being said, does anyone know if you can overdose after shooting up heroin? Like later on into the high? Not immediately after? Or is it always an immediate thing? As a recovered heroin addict. No. To be physically addicted you need do it consistently. I liked it a lot though, so I was mentally hooked before I was physically addicted. Definitely not recommended lol. I talked to a recovered heroin addict. She said when you shoot up, it's like Jesus Christ comes down and kiss you in the lips. It made me want to try heroin. In the beginning, the drug of choice acts as the perfect solution to your problems. literally releasing reward chemicals as if you've fixed them all. So why would you stop? Physical dependence takes a week or so, but the minute the brain gets psychological relief from the suffering that pushed it to think, heroin? Sure can't lead to anything worse than how I currently feel. It's already begun categorizing the drug as the solution to life, the universe, and everything. The thing about addiction is the drug is the solution to the real issue. It's just a very destructive solution that doesn't actually solve anything and causes its own issues that just make everything worse when the wheels finally come off the rails. Which they do if you keep at it long enough, since we're not fixing the train but distracting ourselves from the issues we don't think are fixable, but eventually we can't get drugs and the issues have only gotten worse, and now we're detoxing on top of them, but that's a problem we can actually solve with drugs. And the cycle feeds itself. Source: was addicted to heroin and worked at a drug rehabilitation center for over a decade before brain cancer. With anything that makes you feel good, you won't want to do it just once. That's where the problem sets in. As soon as you know the feeling, you will want it again. I'm not a heroin user. Nor was I ever. But I've had some experience with cocaine. I don't do it often, but if I'm ever like wanting to do something fun, I always think now, oh, maybe I should get some blow for this. Or like if I see it as a joke on TV, my mind goes to it. It just changes your perspective. It's better to just not have it as a thought, honestly. This question sparked a personal question for me. Does anyone have personal experience or knowledge of fiorinol? Possible trigger. It did for me. I'm sure there are more people like me. I know fiorinol is nothing like heroin. But these cravings and misuse of medication shaped my adult life. It was prescribed to me at 14 years old. I'm 28 and I can't think about these pills without cravings and intense desire. I used to take them by the handful at least twice a day for 4 years. On and off short periods. I tried to stop a few times, but the addiction was deep and I had withdrawals. It was almost unbearable. But I never asked for help. I had to stop cold turkey when my pharmacist refused to fill the script after 4 years of misuse. Every day I have to talk to myself and remember what will happen if I fall back in. It's not enough. But it has to be. Just reaching out because I never have before. The only people who say yes are people who have never tried heroin. Okay. Complicated answer. There are two types of heroin users. Ones who progressed other drugs and led up to heroin, and those who are hooked on pharmaceuticals, and heroin was the last option if they couldn't get more pills. Let's talk about the first group. Are they addicted to heroin on the first try? Kind of, yes. They likely already have a severely addictive personality and have gone from booze to coke to pills to heroin. This was my experience. I honestly don't think anyone in the history of the world has woken up as a casual drinker with responsible habits and said, I'm gonna go score some heroin today. Which leads me to the other group. People who were prescribed opiates and needed an increase in dosage because they were addicted and, as a last resort, had to take heroin as it was the only option available. Are they addicted to heroin the first time they try it? Yes. But only because they were already a full-blown opioid junkie going into it. I don't like coke. I just like the way it smells. Most likely not. First times are, in most cases, unpleasant. If you aren't addicted to opiates already, of course. Typically not after doing it once. That's more of an exaggeration. However, it is still insanely addictive. Heroin is more of a poor man's painkiller in the US. Many people who end up on heroin were already opioid addicts that have exhausted their options. getting those drugs in a more legitimate form. You don't get addicted to it on your first time, but you are going to really enjoy it your first time, and that leaves you wanting just one more, eventually leading to dependence. Most people who try heroin are already dependent on pills, and they move to heroin because it is cheaper. No one starts out with heroin, except for the guy in the post mentioned in op. But people like that are rare. You rationalize trying it. Heroin addict for 12 years. In recovery for 3 years.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.